All right, folks, welcome to another podcast. Today, you are in for a real special. This guest I have today, his name is Thomas Dzieran, or also known as Drago. He is a legend in the SEAL teams and also a legend within my team of Special Forces because my team is comprised of about 80% former Soviet Union. And my commander actually was the one that connected me with Thomas's story that was on the podcast with Jocko. And so I highly recommend, of course, if you listen to this podcast, listen to a much longer, in-depth conversation that Dzieran has with Jocko, also, of course, a legendary SEAL team member. And both of them, of course, are talking the same language. This is going to be an Israeli Special Forces guy interviewing an American Special Forces guy, and it's going to be a little bit different dynamic. So, just to give you a little bit of background, like I said, he's already, as I've already pointed out, a former Navy SEAL, U.S. Navy SEALs, an author, and a software engineer. So that's a unique little kind of mix there for you. I have that in my team as well. We have a few engineers. So not your likely candidate that people think of in a special forces knuckle dragger, whatever. He immigrated to the United States in '84, and after becoming a U.S. citizen in 1991, joined the Navy, and then spent 20 years, including stints with SEAL Team 2, SEAL Team 4, and was a BUDS instructor. So poor guys that had to go through Mr. Drago standing there over them. Of course, I can only imagine he must have been a real easy guy on the recruiters with his background. You'll understand the inside joke there as we get into the story. So you're also, like I said, an author. You've written the Pledge to America, which is part of his advocacy for freedom, using his tech skills to combat threats to free speech. Brother, it is an honor to have you on this podcast. And really, I would say your story, and then that's, like I said, my commander was the one that got me connected to your story, and actually that's what got me into podcasting. I was not a podcast guy. I never listened to podcasts. I'm like, why would you just listen to people jabber all day, like
Same
but
here. Yes, same here.
right. So but when I heard your story, and the way I heard your story was when I was doing executive protection. You have a lot of downtime. Anybody who's done executive protection knows. So I'd have an earpiece in, listening while I'm waiting on my client who's sitting there, having business deals, whatever. And I'm like, what, really intrigued, of course, hearing your story. And I'm like, wow, this guy, what a story. And I could relate a lot to what you were talking about just through my experience, like I said, with my teammates, communism, what that whole mindset is, what that's all about, and how today in America, I think a lot of people are completely ignorant to that. So, can we just give a little bit of a light into that world that you grew up in? What was it like growing up in communism in Poland, and your experience with that?
Oh, sure, absolutely. But before I start,
Yeah,
I would like to convey my admiration to your teammates and your commander and your unit, and my respect. So yes, thank you very much for inviting me here. It is great honor for me to be on the same in the same room virtually with you. And but also I have small objection to the word legend. I am no more legend than you are, your
yeah,
teammates, your unit, my teammates. We
yeah,
are just doing our job, and we just sometimes are lucky to get to be put in position or in location that things happen. And thanks God, I was able to do things that maybe otherwise I wouldn't be able to do it. So yeah, thank you
yeah.
very much for the invitation. So yes, I was born in Poland in 1960s. I was born 15 years. Mm, At that time, there was like huge time span. But I'm looking back today, 15 years after the end of the Second World War.
Mm.
So this is like right now is almost like I was born right after it.
Yeah.
When I was born, the entire two generations, they lived, they survived World War II. So you can imagine the society at the time, Poland was not, it was at the times very violent, and this is how I grew
Hmm.
up.
Yeah.
Initially, I had the privilege, privilege, I wouldn't call it a privilege. It just happened that my father was communist. He was member. Eventually, he became high-ranking member of Communist Party and Polish government.
Mm.
But before that, so while he was with us, with my mom, we had everything that we wanted. This is how socialism and communism work. So if I did something wrong, for example, I burned entire wheat field, my neighbor's wheat field. So of course, you know, in Poland, people were poor, so this basically I destroyed this farmer. I feel
You
really
did
sorry.
this
Yeah,
for
yeah. I
fun
was
or
maybe
for what?
like
What was the like? Why would you do that?
I was just building fire, trying to bake potatoes or something in
Ah.
the middle of the wheat field. We hid ourselves in the wheat field because nobody could see us. We just didn't think what can happen. I was what
Okay, it
like,
wasn't intentional. Like you were trying to be
oh
devious or
no,
something.
no, no,
Right.
no,
Right. Right.
no.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I was like 6 years old.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
me and
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
friend, they say, "Ah, this is great. Look, nobody can see us. We can start the fire now." We did. We burned that. So when the neighbor came complain and they tried to file the complaint, my father, being a communist, just told him, "Hey, you know what? You continue with it. We're gonna send the police, secret police, on you, and you will have to talk to them." Basically, the communists were intimidating people, and there's really nothing he could do. He would eventually, if he pursued the case, I would assume he would be destroyed by communists.
Mm.
But I also would like to make certain point here. Neither Poland uh, or, well, no country behind the Iron Curtain in Eastern Europe was ever communist country. There were socialist states run by communists like my father.
Hmm.
So not even Soviet Union was fully communist country. It was socialist state. If you look at their working, how they work, how they operated, and they never say we are building communism. There was we are building socialist state. The Soviet Union name is the Union of Socialist Republics, right? So
Hmm.
not communist republics.
Yeah.
So I'm saying it because nowadays, today, young people in my country, in America, many of them get enamored with and fascinated by socialism.
Hmm.
So socialism is what happened in Eastern Europe. It is dangerous. Socialism, it is the entire trail of body bags, murder people, killed people, are trailing behind the socialist ideology. So I just want to make it clear that Poland was not really communist; it was run by communists like my father, but it was socialist, totalitarian state where people had no rights. So
Hmm.
that's, I mean, this out of the way. So you can see when my father was communist and he was a high-ranking Communist Party member, we had everything. I mean, we had a special stores where we can buy things. We can buy food that most of the people were not able to buy in Poland at the time. But my mother was Christian, so she did not go with this ideology. There was really well, she was very opposed to it. And they were almost fighting. Eventually, my father, when I was 7 years old, decided to say he's going to continue his career. Our family was too dangerous for his family. The faith is something very dangerous to socialism and communism. So he left. This is when I realized that uh, there is another side of Polish socialist state. We
Yeah.
found ourselves on that other side. We
Mm.
were poor, we had no money. Mom sometimes had to go to neighbors and borrow some money to buy bread. Uh, For me at that time, was very embarrassing. My grandmother, whenever she came to visit us, when she when she seen a piece of bread on the street or something, she picked it up and she said, "We cannot, it is we cannot eat it, but we can put so birds can eat it. So let's put somewhere on the side where birds can reach it." And being 7, 8 years old, I was like, "Grandma, don't do it. My friends are looking." Uh, um, but my grandma was very adamant. Look, this is the most treasures thing you can have. In the war, basically, she explained to me during Second World War,
Hmm.
um, she had food. She was able to save some food, and when people tried to buy the food from her, she never allowed it. She gave if people needed it. There was family starving. Gave that bread. She never took money for it, but also she never sold the money. Her ideas were that you cannot eat God. You cannot eat uh, money. Food will save you, will help you survive. Money may not if there is shortage of food. And we experienced that. We experienced it when the socialist state was collapsing eventually in 1980s, end of 1970s and 80s. That the food was on the way of God.
Mm.
So that was a thing. Another thing, what I remember from living in a socialist state run by communism was the indoctrination to socialism and communism. Yes, to both. And also at the same time, in Poland, learning Russian language became compulsory in 5th grade of elementary school. So that was my first run-in with the state police, with secret police in Poland. I was not aware. I was not really political. I was just lazy and I didn't like to do homework. So now they are throwing on us learning Russian language, even more homework to do. So I remember I piped up to my teacher of Russian language. I say, "Why you are teaching us as Russian? We don't even speak Polish very well." There are guys like I pointed out the kid sitting in the same bench. It was like sitting two at the same bench, two of
Yeah.
us. So he doesn't even speak Polish very well. Why are we learning a language that we understand as a language of occupiers? They were
Mm.
political occupiers of Poland at the time.
Yeah.
And I uh, I didn't realize how dangerous it was to say these things. I was
Mm.
immediately pulled by my ear, by teacher, out of the bench, walked to the principal office, and basically she explained what I said.
Yeah.
And within a minute, the principal was calling police to come and deal with me. So police,
Golly.
yeah, I was 5th grade. Police on the way was stopped by my mom was a teacher in different schools, so
Yeah.
they detained my mom and brought her to school too. Then they started yelling at us and threatening that if my mom does not wouldn't instill more love for socialism and communism, we will go to orphanage. She will lose the custody, and the government will take care of good upbringing for us.
Wow.
So this is how it worked. This is the first time I realized that the state is omnipotent and powerful, and unless you start really fighting with them, you have no chance to live along unless you sell your soul to socialist, perverted, totalitarian ideology.
Mm.
So my mom cried. I remember I started crying because my mom was crying. I didn't realize how
Right.
dangerous it was.
Yeah.
But from then on, and I know also most of the families in Poland, they were telling kids, do not talk politics. Do not talk politics because it can destroy our entire family. Because communists, like my father, they went not only after the offenders, they went after the families, circle of friends, and
Mm.
it was very pervasive way of doing it. They what they do is they send secret police, which people feared in Poland, to neighbors and somewhere, and they didn't say anything. Most often, they just say, "Hey, what do you know about these neighbors?" Example, my mom and me and my siblings. Do you see any anti-socialist uh, views? Do you see? Basically, they just interrogate neighbors.
Mm.
So what happened? Then you find out that you have no friends. Everybody's scared of you, and everybody just like look at you and cross the streets, go around like you didn't exist because there were people were intimidated.
Yeah.
And those are the normal techniques. This is how they did.
Mm.
Now, not everybody can be intimidated. This is how I grew up. Not
Yeah.
everybody can be intimidated this way. There were people, professors in Poland, engineers and scientists who didn't let themselves to be intimidated. And there was really not much the communist government could do to them except just either physically destroy them or cancel them and remove them from society through censorship, through intimidation. And that was quite common. If you fell a fool with the socialist state, socialist government, um, you find yourself same thing. The neighbors suddenly start avoiding you, looking weird at you. And what happened is the uh, the secret police starts spreading the rumors
Mm.
about people that this guy is a criminal, he's a pedophile, or he's transvestite, or all kinds of weird things. And it was enough just to start maybe two, three neighbors to let them know, and people start looking at you differently. So that was the technique. And we didn't know about this technique used by secret police in Poland until uh, Polish communists published a book about FBI, the entire history of FBI, and they claim those tactics that I just described were used on the union members, on U.S. citizens who did not agree with the government. We know this is total bullshit, right?
Right.
But but this is what they try to tell Polish society, that America is bad and the FBI is even worse. They are like secret police, but much worse. And but what Polish people took out of it is that hmm, those tactics are real, but not in America, but in communist, in socialist Poland run by communists. This
Hmm.
is what secret police is using, and usually after that, they were very keen to pinpoint people who started these rumors and say, okay, so this that came from this guy, so he is either uh, agent of secret police in Poland, or he is just a policeman itself.
Hmm.
And once those people were out and they had no use, the secret police had no use for them. So even they sometimes stand on their own just to destroy
Wow.
them anyway. But that was just them very mild tactics compared to some other tactics where they basically eliminated, they were killing people
Wow.
secretly. There's a lot of people that didn't come back from work. Many people didn't come back from the trip to the grocery store. And you can, if you read the history of Poland after Second World War, there was thousands of people that were sent to Soviet Union. I'm not saying Russia. Russia is different today, and this is a big mistake that many people do. They equate Russia today with Soviet Union. Soviet Union was different. There was totalitarian, pervasive terror state, which Russia today, I believe, has like 85% of approval rate for their elected president, President Putin. I don't
Hmm.
get in politics because I do not understand them. I am, I am, I am American. I am a former SEAL, and I can speak about this. And
Mm.
I'm also a victim of communist repressions. I can speak about this, so I'm
Right.
pretty right about it.
Exactly.
So,
So, and I think that's the thing that is so point, so on point, that you're just sharing your personal experience, because a lot of people like myself, I can talk about communism, but I did not grow up under it. So I don't identify all of the symptoms, if you like, as obviously as someone that has actually come out of that. But what I can say based on my research, I'm seeing a lot of those symptoms in today's society in similar tactics, just like you're pointing out, right? Using fear, intimidation. It's just different. It's not like a secret police. It's more shaming and gaslighting on social media, or political infightings, and marginalizations and separating each other, and all this, that I think is just very troubling, in the world that we're living in today, and what you're seeing in America, right? So many people dividing, and it's over like ridiculous small issues, but some are big issues, like you pointed out. Like there are people in America that today who are going to universities, especially I've noticed, are being infatuated with socialism, or infatuated with someone like Che Guevara and wearing a Che Guevara t-shirt like it's cool. And I'm like, do you know what that guy stood for? The guy is like one of the biggest criminals of the 21st century. And to wear a t-shirt with that guy's face, you might as well wear the face of bin Laden. You know, it's crazy.
Oh, yeah, and also I have a little bit different insight into the operate or how the system, socialist system, communist system operated in Eastern Europe.
Mm,
Since I went to live with my father for almost over a year because we were so poor, my mom could not feed all three of us, me and two siblings. I was the oldest one, so they sent me to my father.
mm,
So my father's view, and I always argue with him about it. He said his ideals were that people do not understand the benefits of socialism and communism. We don't have a time to explain to everybody. We just need to force them. And once we force them, everybody will love it. There will be no dissent. Also has like, well, wait a minute. So you force somebody, what if they still dissent?
yeah.
Well, they can't because we're gonna silence them. We're
Oh,
gonna censor them.
yep.
And it did happen in Poland. If there was an artist, let's say writer, who published books that were not aligned with socialist ideology, with Communist Party, he was pretty quick silenced. There was no self-publishing. His books were torn up, destroyed, and burned, and never show up in the bookstores. No publisher would publish his books, and even if you try to publish on the West and secretly bring in Poland, you could go to prison for that.
Mm,
So the censorship was very pervasive.
mm-hmm.
But so I say, okay, so what if if you take his books away, if you take his art away from museum? Well, if that doesn't work, if you still cannot convince him to love socialism. So, well, then we have presence. People like this are dangerous because they spew the hate to socialism. They spew the fake information about socialism. So we need to lock them up and isolate them so we can influence people outside this offender circle. I say, okay, well, so he sees them in prison, but then what about people who still admire him and he's still there? Well, then we have a final solution. We're gonna kill him.
Oh,
He might just disappear. This is coming from my father, a very high-ranking officer in Polish government at the time, and
wow.
I didn't know later. Somebody pointed it me out that pointed pointed it out to me that he was heavily involved. He was actually supervising the censorship of books, art. He was because he was a director of art, books, libraries, and movies department in Ministry of Art and Culture in Poland.
Wow.
So somebody pointed me out a very popular movie in Poland that was heavily censored by my father. I was not aware of it. I
Mm,
see him as a apparatchik who is just a lackey of communist mafia.
right.
But apparently, he did more than that. So
Mm,
I'm not proud of it, and
yeah.
but I am proud that my mom was able to instill the values in me
Mm,
that I have, and values for freedom. And so yeah, that's how they operated: silence, heavy censorship, gaslighting people, destroying them. And at that time you couldn't defend yourself. Here you can go on some social media, and maybe if you are not censored there, you can convey to people your message. But
Yeah.
as we see here with Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn, I am doing heavily censorship every time I talk about my experiences in with socialism and communism,
Mm.
especially with socialism, because there is a big push from the younger generation indoctrinated in universities about socialism. So they really don't like my message. I think Marxists are afraid of my message. This is why I'm
Hmm.
being heavily censored on these platforms.
Yeah, yeah, and that's exactly what I've witnessed, unfortunately, both in the U.S. and in Israel. These idealists, they have this utopic idea of this Marxist, socialist, communist, usually all of those, kind of either one of which or somewhat together, and it's like, well, and when you bring examples of where they all failed, it's like, well, this is just because they never implemented it all the way, right? There's always some kind of excuse, and I'm like, just what you just said about your dad. Well, if he doesn't this, then we take away his books. If he doesn't take his books, we imprison him. If he doesn't, then we kill him. If that, it's like, do you guys realize that, like, in order for the utopic idea to be fully implemented, people are going to go to extreme lengths? And are you really agreeing to that? And that's the problem, I think, is that these kids who are being taught this utopic idea by these dumb professors, in my opinion, um, are given, they're being sold something that they have no clue how demonically terrible it is the best way I can put it, you know.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
give a perfect example of what it leads to. In my opinion, that's it. I mean, and
I mean, look at the Germany today. Look
yeah,
at the France and England. These nations were perverted. I mean, look what happened there: killing, murders, people on drugs. This is not the Germany I remember when I was 20 years ago. This is not the France that I remember 20, 30 years ago. I
yeah,
think this is deliberate. I think you have to
hmm,
destroy the cohesion of society. You need to destroy the society so you can implement from ground zero the ideals of slavery, of socialism, and also the perpetual uh, uh, rules of certain parties. I mean, look at the depravity, perversion on full display at the opening of Olympics in
hmm,
France. I mean, that's straight out debauchery, perversion on full display. What a disgrace. But this is what they have become. Look at the society of Germany when under Merkel, there were like hundreds of rapes in one night.
yeah,
People were just the savages were running on the streets, raping German women, while
yeah,
German men were sheltering in apartments and running away. That's the society that they created. And
yeah,
what a disgrace. I mean, look what is happening today in England. I mean,
hmm,
people are afraid to go on the streets, not because of British, because of the savages they
yeah,
imported to England. What
yeah,
a disgrace. And now they try to pull the same thing to Poland. The German police, these post-Hitler Nazis, are driving those immigrants in secret vans and dumping them in Poland or on Polish border. So even Poles now, Polish citizens are standing up to it and try to prevent and defend Polish borders because that's what Germans did. You know, Germans already once before they were looking east and salivating. I think they forgot their lesson
hmm,
today. They try to do the same thing now, and they are not invading Poland directly yet, but they are invading Poland with their own scum they try to get rid of, and they send them to Poland.
hmm,
So yeah, that's where we are right now. The Europe basically is falling apart. And I do not, especially with these cockroaches from Brussels instigating all that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Sorry for my here.
Political correctness. But I was just in England and I was on a podcast there, but I also got to speak to a group of Christians in
Yes.
Cornwall, which is where the Wesleyan revival impacted England. That in its time at the end of the 1700s was debauchery. It was falling apart. Society was wicked. And then you had this bold preacher, him and his brother, that just went on horseback, town to town, mining communities, and just preached the gospel. They just preached repentance. And the whole society in all of England turned around. And right after that, you had the Wesleyan revival, right? And in essence, also as a result of, look at Great Britain, as it was before World War II. The sun did not go down on the British Empire. So what I'm basically saying is, and this is the caveat into what you're saying, um, and this is actually my message to the church in the world. Okay, there I was speaking to the descendants of these people that had this transformation over 200 years ago, and I was telling them, you have a heritage, and what you're seeing, like what you pointed out, these are just symptoms of turning our backs on God. Communism, socialism, Marxism, all those isms was a replacement of God, and it was all about man and putting man's knowledge and wisdom in our better way and utopic idea, instead of just embracing the biblical foundations of our nations. So every nation that had God at the center and respected the Jews and honored the Jews within their societies, Europe flourished. Wherever Jews were being persecuted, kicked out, and then Christianity died out, and then it became a post Christian nation like France, Germany, and all these countries that we're talking about, Sweden, that I have experience with through my wife's family. You just see the decline of society, and you see everything, like you just said, all this wickedness coming in and society falling apart. So my message is real simple: make God great again in our society, not make America great again. Make God great again. That's a huge difference.
I think you nail it, Doron. I'm with you 100%. We cannot turn away from God because that's another thing I spoke on different podcasts is the relative morality. The
Mm-hmm.
morality that you basically will sway. You subscribe to politician, you will sway. Your morality will sway with one way or another with the politicians. We know they lie. We know they have no moral backbone. So, relative morality is very dangerous. Christianity or faith, it is something that is pretty much immutable.
Mm-hmm.
If you stay with it, you will keep your moral backbone. You will prevail. If you turn away, we see what happened in Germany during Second World War when people subscribed to this Nazi ideology. They were so Hitler was able to, and the Nazi Party was able to persuade Germans that euthanasia is good, that
Mm-hmm.
we need to kill even Germans who are handicapped,
Yep.
mentally ill.
Yep.
So, and there was a whole program implemented. And this is when people turn away from God and turn into so-called relative morality, which my father subscribed to. And
Mm.
my like I fought with him, my mom fought with him. Finally, he left. I got kicked out from my father's after 1 year. He couldn't put up with my questions.
Right. Right.
Him so,
But the
but that
key,
was
the key in your
become
story, yeah, the key in your story was what you were saying about your mom. To me, that's the beautiful picture there. It's that your mom held to her Christian values, and when society was turning on that, because she had that as her anchor, that's why she was able to rise above the moral decline of society, and that you were privileged.
You're absolutely right. It
Yeah.
was very easy just to go sign up for Communist Party. And
Yeah.
suddenly your life would be great, but it would be much easier.
Hmm.
My mom never did that, would never allow any of us to go this way. And I really owe her a lot. Today, my standing, today, my moral principles are all tied to my mom's teaching and to Christianity. So, absolutely, yes. And you are absolutely right.
Mm.
Make faith great again.
Yeah. So you also ended up imprisoned at some point, I understand, because you were
Yes,
too radical for your society.
yes,
What was that like?
absolutely. Well,
And how
I
old were
was
you?
radical. I was because we were publishing a little, I would say, newspaper, or it's more like a leaflets. We call it at that time it was called newspaper. So we're publishing about what is happening. John Paul II, Pope, he
Hmm.
came to Poland in 1978, and his message was, don't be afraid, don't be afraid, don't live on your knees. uh, People, but what even more, what helped is that for the first time, when people went to see the Pope, they look around and they realize there are millions of them, not what pre-communist press was trying to convey, that there's only few freaks who still believe in like fake stories about God, and you could see this propaganda constantly beaming to people in Poland.
Mm.
So people first time realized, well, there's not just few of us, there are millions. Because if you see today the masses that came to see Pope, they're just entire streets and blocks of were filled up with people. When during the communist times they show maybe two or three people uh, 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 around the Pope and very few people showing up. So it seems like, well, nobody cares about Pope. And then when they people realize that there are millions with the same views, thinking the same, they started organizing.
Mm.
And I think that
Mm.
was very influential. They realized that a majority of Poles think the same way. So eventually it culminated with birth of trade union, solidarity. Uh, it became as a trade union, but it was born as a trade union, but it became a social movement in Poland. That was the way people finally realized we can oppose communism. We can oppose communist ideology and socialism. And they did. They built this union. And that was very dangerous to socialist state. So they were from the very beginning when they have to accept this because you remember 1979, 80s, the strikes, the economy going down in Poland. People refused to work for communists as a slaves. So they eventually approved and legalized the Solidarity Trade Union. This was the first organization in entire Warsaw Pact that was totally independent from Communist Party. There was something breakthrough. There was the first brick that Poles kicked out from the totalitarian communist ideology before it crumbled 10 years later.
Mm.
But that's how it worked. So when they create the lists at the same time when they legalize solidarity, they were creating lists of people to eliminate either by presence, by censorship, or just disappearing them, killing people.
Mm.
So in December 13, 1981, they imposed martial law. They realized they are losing control. People are not buying into socialism anymore. So I remember that I was in the actually Solidarity headquarters at the time when martial law was imposed, and People were coming and say, "Hey, the entire families are being arrested on the city blocks, in the apartments. Sometimes kids were left out with no parents because parents were detained. They is It was just horrible, and there was really not much you could do because you don't know who is on that list.
Hmm.
And I remember where we decided we need to do something. People were being taken away and nobody knew where.
Hmm.
Um, so we decided, okay, we're gonna find out where they are, what happened to them, how if they are still alive. So this is how we start publishing our first newspaper. Again, it was more like a leaflet with 2 pages, but for us it was a big newspaper.
And
So
that got you
like,
imprisoned.
yes, I didn't know anything about how the conspiracy works, how the underground should work. We're just printing it and passing to people. Hey, these and these people were arrested on such and such night. We have information that they are in this prison.
Mm,
So that was very dangerous for communists. I described it in the
crazy.
book.
Crazy.
The most dangerous thing to socialist state is truth
Mm,
and truthful information. They are afraid of it. They are scared of it. So of course we were arrested. I got 3 years prison sentence, and yeah. So this is how I and my teammates end up in prison.
mm,
So but such group like mine, there were thousands around the Poland. So yeah, the communists were very busy catching them and arresting them. But I would like to point out one thing: how perversive socialist state is. Basically, when they arrest thousands of people in one night, there was mass arrests throughout entire Poland. They explained to Poles that they are not being arrested; they are just being uh, usher into secure place where they can be safe, but also to for the safety of their own. They were just being ushered to safe places, like they call it internment camps.
right.
So, so it started. There was even some stadiums, football stadiums, involved in it until people were eventually distributed to different kinds of prison. But they were not. We were not allowed at the time to call them prisoners. They were internees. They were in the internment camp. They were prisons. They were just prisons was like next to cells. There were criminals and murderers sitting. But they had a group of solidarity from this organization, and the, and basically, and we have to believe that they are not being prisoners. They are being just in the safe place for their own safety. That's how perversive it was. So yeah,
So,
that's very correct.
so this essentially is what led to you basically trying to find a new life in America, right? I mean, how did that come about? I mean, what and why did you go to United States? So, like, why there, not anywhere else? I guess.
Yeah, you see, in my family, we always look up to the West.
Mm,
We always look up to America as this most free country in the world. When we were sitting in prisons, I will please remember, for me, there was not so much punishment. There was school, there was education. I was sitting with professors, engineers, scientists. So we had this conversation, and it was always coming up. America is, we always look up to America. Why Poland cannot be like America? So that was my beliefs. Besides, when I
mm,
moved to Warsaw to live with my father for a year and until he kicked me out, uh, going back from school, I had to change buses. Happened to be in front of the U.S. embassy. I remember I was so late home sometimes because I would love to read. There were like glass displays on the fence of U.S. embassy where they talk about America, how is American life, all the nice things
mm,
you want to know. And I could spend sometimes hours just reading, thinking about it. watching the cars, these powerful, beautiful cars pulling in. And I was thinking, like, why Poland cannot be like America? There was already that admiration
Yeah, yeah.
there. When
The
my mom
the
was
the
doing the same
Cadillacs
thing.
versus the Lada, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, and
Yeah.
I remember my uncle, my mom's brother, he had their own business in Poland at the time. It was before the martial law. And so he was making cider blocks and brakes. And he was selling it. He was hard worker. His business was so good. The quality of his work was so great that the caciques of communist party or people who had their own businesses, but they were tied with communists. They start complaining that my uncle is taking their business away. So they sent to him first a group, so-called activists, factory f- activists from factory and universities, maybe like 6, 7 people, and told him he needs to scale down his work because he's making work too hard. He makes too much of those breaks, and it's a little bit too much for socialist state. Well, he said he can't do it because he needs to support his
He's
family.
too
So that
capitalistic. Of
Yeah. So they came, they destroyed his equipment, they beat him up.
course.
They called themselves anti-fascists and anti-Nazis.
Oh,
So
of
he was
course.
because he was having his business, he was branded a fascist and Nazi.
Mm,
They did it 3 times. They destroyed his factory 3 times. When my uncle complained in police, they beat him up black and blue. That's what I
mm,
remember sitting in the dinner when police throw him in from the street, from the prison. They brought him. I mean, he was all black and blue, beat up. His head was all swollen from
mm.
beatings he got in the police because he complained about these socialist goons.
Wow.
So then I remember I was really scared. But he told me how to listen to radio, Voice of America, Radio Free Europe, BBC. And then I started realizing that history that I was being taught in school is very different, the
Mm,
real history of Poland.
mhm,
So because when we were learning in schools, seems like almost every king in Poland was either socialist or communist, or he supported that idea of
mhm.
socialism and communism. You know how absurd and how stupid is that? But this is what you could actually say, well, what we are living in, the greatest socialism system in the world, was already what these kings tried to do in Poland, just didn't work maybe very well. So this is how perverted it was. So yeah, I was sentenced to 3 years of prison sentence. Before the second visit of John Paul II, Pope, to Poland, Pope demanded that communists start releasing political prisoners for him to come. This is how I left
Mm,
on amnesty. I left a prison.
mm,
At the same time, I was scared. There were people that they left to war, didn't come back. Nobody knows what happened to them.
mm,
So me and my mom, we talk about what's going to happen, what I should do. I couldn't find the job, so I said, "Well, I need to leave Poland." At that time, it was not difficult to leave Poland. You were actually encouraged to leave Poland. They didn't
int-
want you there. So
interesting.
there is mass migration of these political activists that
Mm,
happened 1980s, uh, like late 1980s, middle 1980s. So I was one of them. And I chose America because for me, that was the most free country.
mm,
I wanted to lead in society like this.
mm,
And I didn't know how to go about it. I went to US Embassy. I asked, I need help. They asked me to bring some documents to back my story up.
mm.
And that's the process started. So
So,
eventually I received passport one
yeah.
way and I left in 1984. For me at the time, I was saying goodbye to Poland forever.
Mm,
I did not really think I would ever be allowed to come back to Poland, or even if I would sneak in, I would be killed. So that was that's when I was looking at my mom at the Warsaw airport, my siblings, my family. I was saying goodbye to them.
Mm. So in '84, you moved to the United States. How old are you at this time?
I was 24. I was 24
24.
years old.
Okay. Okay. So you're in your
Yeah.
mid 20s, and now you're in America all by yourself,
Yes.
right? So what led you from that? Because then it was like a period of about, if my math is correctly, about 7 years, right? Till you make your decision to join the Navy. So in those 7 years, what did you do? And then what was the decision that led to, I'm actually going to go and also join the military here, right? I'm going to, because it's not like you had a heritage in that, you know what I mean? Like a lot of Americans, right? Oh, my dad was in the Marines or my dad was in the whatever, War II. So I'm going to join, right? So it wasn't like a classic American
Yeah, it's a bit
veteran
different.
story, so to speak.
Yes. So when I came to America, I didn't know what to expect. I had no money. I had not even 1 cent in my pocket. I had five Phoenix, the German things, German coin,
Yeah.
5 Phoenix. So when I landed, and today, everything that I have, everything that I own, my family, I owe to America and American people.
Mm,
Since the moment I landed there, there was always an American guiding me, helping me,
mm,
getting me to. I was moved to Memphis. That's what I supposed to do. That's what I was allowed to, or what I decided to settle down.
hmm
So I was flown to Memphis. There were families that, before I got my apartment, they let me live in their place, their home. They
Wow.
fed me. Uh, Eventually, I got apartment. They got me a first job. I remember I was so excited. I remember I was calling my mom. I say, "Mom, I'm have the job and I have my own apartment." Apartment, what we understand by apartment is different than it was understood in Poland.
Oh
In
yeah.
Poland, apartment means it was like a villa or something powerful, something big and very rich. But my mom was crying, say, "So you safe?" She said, you have a place to live, you have a job, can you work?" I say, "Yes." I was a janitor at the time. So
Mm,
my first job was a janitor at school. So and I was so fascinated. I was like, "Look, I don't even speak English, but I can work. I can make my money, and I
yeah.
can pay my bills." Well, of course, without help of fellow Americans, I would never be able to do so.
Yeah.
So even then, I was making just pennies. I was the richest man in the world. I got a part-time job enough to pay my apartment and food. But there were always some American standing by my side,
Mm,
looking if I have enough food in the fridge,
yeah.
if I have enough bread in the pantry, if I have everything I need. They provide me with the furniture because I had none.
hmm
So, there's something I will never forget.
Mm,
I was put on my feet. I was kept on my feet by American people.
mm,
So eventually, I was as I was progressing with my English, I was getting better jobs. I learned English by myself. And so basically, I started from cartoons. So I had a map. Well, I was mapping here in my backpack. I had a cartoon from newspaper, and I printed out Jane loves Jack. Okay, so this means this and this. Jane loves Jack, and then here, I'm just like mapping the floor. Jane loves Jack. Yeah, I was able to get to learn English,
yeah.
get better job. The thing I wish, like if I couldn't afford to go to school right away, right? I have to work.
Yeah.
But I'm paying a price till today by because I learned English by myself, and I got habit of making grammar errors. It is easier, and from shooting, right?
Yeah.
It's easier to teach somebody shooting who never shot than
Right.
somebody who was shooting on his own and but got a lot of bad habits. You have to
Exactly.
unteach him bad habits, then teach him again shooting. Same with English.
hmm
So today I am still better with bullets than with words. I'm more proficient. I can speak better with bullets.
That's uh, that's
But
awesome.
but my life just moved.
Yeah.
I made friends. I made the I was living my American dreams,
Mm,
and this is when the Persian War broke out.
right.
At the same time, I became U.S. citizen. I became American, and
So, wait,
I
when you say
look
Persian War, you mean the Gulf War? Are we talking about
the
the Gulf
Gulf
War?
War. Yeah,
Okay,
yes,
yeah,
the first Gulf War.
yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
So one day I look in the mirror and I say, "Look, these people gave me everything.
Mm,
What did I give to these people? What did I do for America?" So I say, "There's a war. I'm going to fight the war. So I'm going to sign up for war. After the war, I'll just come back and resume my awesome life."
mm.
Well, it didn't happen. I did join the. That was my motivation to join the Navy. Not so
So,
much
so
Navy
like the
SEALs.
younger generation, my age, it was 9/11 that motivated them. But
Yes,
interestingly enough, with you, it was a major war that America was going to, and you were saying, "Well, I need to put in my part." I mean,
those were
that's so
yes.
beautiful because that to me is what real real immigrants who immigrate to America, like that is the like how do we just say, that's how you know they have the right motive, right? It's that this, we got all of this, what can I give back to what I've been given, you know?
Exactly. That was my moral obligation
Yeah.
to do something. I couldn't build the jobs. Maybe if I was rich, multimillionaire, I would be involved in building jobs for American people. I couldn't do it. I was not poor, but I was not that rich and didn't have that expertise.
Hmm.
But I figured out I can go and fight for American people. So this is how I signed up. About Navy SEALs, like my motivation was never join the Navy SEALs. I just wanted to serve where America needs me.
Mm.
And it just happened that I met Navy SEALs. They tugged me into because I joined. I was trying to join Army first. Actually, I was joining Army when I met Navy SEALs, and they're like, "Well, why don't you try the Navy?" And stuff. We talked a little bit about it, and I said, "Okay, yeah, I'm going to go and get the papers." So I went to the Navy. They told me to bring all the because my paperwork was almost completed.
To the
So
recruitment office, is that
yeah,
it?
yeah,
So okay,
yes,
so you had a recruiter from the Navy
from
that
the Army. No, no, from the Army first because
yeah,
I wanted to join just military. For
right,
me at the time, Navy, Army, Marines, it was all the same thing. It was
right,
just military. I wanted
right.
to join military, go to war, serve America, then come back, resume my life. So Army, of course, Army. I see the Army right there. So when I met Navy SEALs in Memphis. They were doing some demo jumps, the leapfrogs. So they told me to switch the venues and go to join the Navy. I remember it was really awkward for me because I already made friends with Army recruiters and I was like ready to go. When
Yeah,
they asked me where they have any preferences, I say, not really, send me where the unit that goes first to war.
yeah.
So like infantry, I say, sign me up. But when they took me, so I say it was awkward, but I did. I took my all my paperwork and I went with them. Actually, they took it and they transferred it to the Navy,
Oh
and that's
wow.
how I ended up in the Navy. And again, like when I went to boot camp, I was told that because I had a kidney stone while in boot camp,
Oh
and
my
I have
God.
actually, I wish I was just looking yesterday with my wife, the document
Yeah.
that they say you can join the Navy SEALs. Because, like eventually I fill up the paperwork that, yeah, I would like to join the Navy SEALs. And, and everything was good. I passed all the tests.
Yeah.
But then like at the kidney stone and the final medical exam, they say, oh, nope, you have to wait 1 year.
Oh wow.
And you know how it is. Once you go get a job in the Navy, like mine was parachute rigger, PR. So they want to keep you there. You just learn the trade,
Correct. Correct.
and it takes a while to learn it, and then just send you off for the Naval Commando camp. That
What
doesn't happen.
what's a parachute rigger in the Navy? Like how does that work? I'm just
Uh,
curious.
so it is PR, but the real name is Air Crew Survival Equipment Man. So basically, you take care of not only parachutes, not the parachutes to jump with, but they like mostly like ejection seats, parachutes, their vests, survival gear, everything that air crew needs to survive in hostile environment or in the air or So that was our job to maintain
Uh-huh.
and make sure that it's up to speed and make sure that they are well equipped.
So
I didn't know that.
you
I
didn't get a crummy Navy position, because I know that anyone who doesn't make it through buds, right, and then they wash out in the Navy, there's a ton of like not so great jobs. I mean, you know what I mean?
depends what the Navy needs you. So, but
Yeah.
that was before. What you describe right now is a little bit different today. At that time was, yeah, before you go to SEAL training, you have a chance to get a job.
Hmm.
There's some sources rating that are prohibited. You cannot have be have that job and then after that join the SEAL teams because like the intel specialist or I don't know, there are some jobs, the nukes, in case you get caught, you don't know too much, I guess.
Right,
So
right, right.
for me, the recruiters were very fair. They just like, look, we can send you directly to boot camp and buds, but your chances, if something happens in buds, it is like 85% chance that you will not make trade. You will end up without job. It
Hmm.
will be very hard for you to get a job. So, what the job would you like to have? We could give you a job so you can go to boot camp, your job, and then to buds. So I say, well, something with parachutes. So,
Ah, so you were the
the-
one that came up with that. How cool.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So I say parachute again because
Yeah.
I was at that time I was already skydiving. I was actually AFF jump master, so I was teaching the free fall skydiving to civilians.
Oh
So
wow.
when I
Okay.
went there and they say, "Yeah, okay, parachute rigger." I thought this parachute, I'll be just packing the parachutes like I was packing civilian world, right?
Right.
For jumping. But no, 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 no. That's just the name, popular name. There's a rate, they call it PR. But the actual name is Air Crew Survival Equipment Man. And you do everything, including the ejection seats, parachutes, but not the parachutes that you jump with. So,
Exactly.
so
Exactly.
that was very interesting. So
So
yeah, I
so
got
then
it.
you started buds what, like a year after that you started your service because of the kidney stone?
No, actually, I was able to kind of bypass that thing because what
Really?
happened is, so they told me I cannot go to bats. I have this document, I have it with me even, and so I say, okay. I mean, for me, it really that wasn't something big deal. I wanted to serve America and whatever they need me, I'm fine. My goal was not to last 20 years. My goal was to serve America throughout the war and then come back to my life. So like, well, I cannot go to SEALs, that's fine. I'll go serve whatever you put me. And so I went to after boot camp, I went to this A school, they call it A school, where I learned my trade of being parachute rigger. And while in school, I found a SEAL motivator, a Navy SEAL who was actually working there. I went to him and I told him that's my problem. I passed the test. I would like to go and join the SEALs. Is anything that can be done? So he said, well, if you had a real kidney stone, really not much, you cannot jump over medical requirement. But let me take a look at your paperwork. That was before the electronic files and stuff. It
Hmm.
was 1990. It was 1991.
Mm.
So I said, okay. He wrote me like special permission to go get my documents. Went to medical, got all my medical documents. I went back to him. He kicked me out of his office. He said, I'll call you back. So he like showed me the paper. I was like, all right, come on in. Are you sure you had a kidney stone? I say, yes. All right, help me find it. I'm looking here. I don't see anything about your. And we are looking to these papers
Yeah.
about. I say, let me look. So I'm looking. I say, no, I don't see it here. I know what happened. I say, like, he looked at me and say, are you sure you had a kidney stone? Well, I look at him. By this time, I was sure I did not.
Yeah.
So,
The
so
wink, 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 wink. Like, do you get my hint?
yeah. So I got my
Oh, man.
orders eventually. Then I passed the test again, got my orders to go to bats, and I ended up in the SEAL training
Crazy.
right after the
Now,
after the
when you went through Buds, it wasn't like today where you have apps and you have stories of guys, you know, and all the resources we have on the internet today, right? Like
No, no,
you
there's no
knew
internet.
nothing of the hell you're about
No,
to walk into, and you're
I
much
have
older, and you're much older,
I have a picture of it, what it may look like, and for
right?
me, I understood it. Okay, so because it is special forces, it's going to be like prison. We will be like totally isolated somewhere on the island, just training and training, and there's like no access. You get basically roughed up, beat up,
Yeah,
and those who survive this brutal thing
yeah,
will become commandos. And I
yeah,
was fine with it. I spent time in communist prison. I say, what could be worse?
right.
So that's that's and it turned out to be that no, actually it was the opposite. You go to bars and you are pretty much free after you do whatever you need supposed to do
Right,
in the training wise. You go back to barracks for a night, or you go back to, if you live outside with your family,
right.
you go back to your apartment. But there's two sides to this,
Yeah.
because yeah, it is convenient, but it also basically they give you enough rope so you can hang yourself if you're not careful. How many times
Yeah,
I see people getting beat up, rough up in the surf, the swim, the run, all the stuff that we do.
yeah,
They go home and the wife comes in with a nice dinner and stuff. And it's like, do you really want it? And
yeah,
I know some of those people say like, not anymore.
yeah, yeah,
Then you ring them out tomorrow.
yeah,
And yeah,
yeah.
it is. I've seen a lot of people, like day in baths, I think anybody can survive. The
Mm,
thing is that day after day after day, the beat downs, the physical, the mental stress, the evolutions that you have to pass, the time or measure evolutions, it get to you. And the code.
mm,
I think most people that I know, they left that initial SEAL selection because of being couldn't put up with cold anymore, or they lost motivation,
mm,
or injury. I
mm,
think the injuries was the not, I'm not talking like heavy injuries, but broken bones, um, the, nothing serious, stress fractures that he cannot even walk anymore. And these people with medical disqualification, they didn't they were fighting these medical findings. They
mhm,
wanted to stay. Most of them, they were just for their own safety removed.
mhm,
And those who were good, they were given another chance later after they healed up. And not right away. Some people, when they were injured, let's say got broken leg, say, okay, so we give you this few months, you can recover, and you're gonna start over again with this class. And so there's a lot of people went through it this way.
so you made it through the first time, or did you have to recycle?
I made to before the Hell Week, and then I got the MRSA. I don't know, how to say the MRSA. This infection. It's looked like a huge Z, and then my entire leg swollen. So I remember, okay, I need to survive 2 more days with it, and then on Friday I will go to hospital. They will cut it out, sew it together, and then I will have a Friday, Saturday, Sunday to rest. Then I can go back to work. So I did that. But Monday, my leg swelled so much that I had to cut my pants to put my leg
Oh,
the
wow.
leg. So when I
Golly.
show up out there, I say like, I need some help here because, and they look at it and I say, yeah, it's so common up there at the time. It was so common.
Yeah.
So they say, yeah, I know even what happened. You went to Balboa, right? I say, yes. Did they put the drip into that hole? I say, no, they just cut out the white things out. It was like thick like my pinky.
Yeah.
They cut this out and they band-aid it. They were like pissed. They say, what the bastards, this is not how you do it. So they open it up again. They actually put the
What?
IV
These
really
SEALs
tight.
basically are doing it? Your cadre?
The cadre, yeah, yeah.
Oh,
We know
man.
we have a medical,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
we have
yeah.
a medical department. We have like real MDs, real
Right,
doctors.
right.
But we also had the corpsman, the people who support all of it.
Yeah.
So when they put me on the table, they looked at, they guessed it right. They say like they didn't irrigate it.
Ah.
They just cut it out and didn't give me even antibiotics.
Oh, man.
So it was so swollen that, like I say, when I show up Monday, I couldn't walk.
Yeah.
But check this out. So they clean it again. They scrape everything the white out. I think it was like deep, maybe like a quarter inch or deeper of this little tube going inside it and just dripping that antibiotics and whatever they put in it.
Yeah.
And it's just start healing. And I tell you, like 3 hours later, my leg was like normal size.
Wow.
So I was begging instructor to put me back in the class. I say, I just please don't put me away. I'm doing fine. I have no issues whatsoever.
Yeah.
But they say now the next phase of this first phase is mud flaps, where we'll be just rolling in the mud for day and night, and
The
you can see,
infection and
and hair
everything.
coming up. You're not gonna make it.
Yeah.
I say, no, I will. So okay, if you run a mile to this point and back in this time, I'll keep you in the class. So I did, and I made the time.
Wow.
But he said, right, well, I lied. So I can,
Oh.
I just don't want you to get injured. You'll be fine with another class.
Yeah.
So I think it was the third week that I got rolled back. So I started with class. Then I was rolled into class 185, and I went through entire training to 185. I graduated with class 185. What a
Wow.
trip. That was awesome. I had the honor to work with the best people in the world,
Yeah.
people like I wouldn't be afraid to go to the end of the world and fight uh, shoulder to shoulder with these guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I
And
made it.
so how was it for you? Because your accent is so thick, right?
Yeah.
Like so non-American, your
Yeah.
culture, right? It's not like your classic SEAL guy, you know what I mean? And how was that for you to jive with the teams? Like did they kind of like bring you in, or did they like give you a hard time because you were that completely different guy?
Started in the bats, but because I was doing extremely well,
Yeah.
the instructors kind of liked me. They did not. They were making fun of me, like say, "Hey, I want everybody from the south to come here to this side of the pool." So the south. Okay, I'm with you. Where are you going? I'm from Memphis. With the accent, get the fuck out of here. Go back to the something like that.
That's
But
awesome.
there was like not the meaning way. Or like say, Drago, no, like you don't your English is so I want to make sure that you can spell it. I want you to spell dormitory. I said, yeah, I can spell it. D-O-R. Stop! It's just D-O-R. You quit. So like a funny ways. But they like me. They like my
That's
knife,
awesome.
for example, was so sharp that I could put on my hand and hold the just butt of the knife and let it slide. It will shave your hand. So they were
Wow.
always calling me like to demonstrate to other class how to maintain the equipment and stuff.
Wow.
I think I was liked,
Yeah.
A hard time. Everybody gets a hard time. Everybody has to have a
Everybody.
thick skin. If you don't have a thick skin, you're not gonna make it. So yeah, I had a blast. I loved it. It's not easy for anybody.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how well you feel you are prepared. You will have to reach down your soul and pull yourself by the bootstraps at the times because it's not easy.
Did you get Drago in the teams? Like, was that
Yes,
something? Is that where you got that right? Because
yeah,
everybody gets like a name, right? I noticed.
yeah. Like almost like a call sign. You
Like I
don't pick
told you,
your
my
own.
name in my team is Amerikanski, right? I mean, for example.
Yeah, yeah. No, you don't get your name from because you like something. I know the guys who ask for the names say, "Hey, why don't I get a cool name or something?"
Right.
Just like Drago just got those in the same platoon. So Jacko look at say, "Yeah, I have one for you. That's pretty cool. What's that? Football bat." So it's like, "What?" No, no, but that was just again, you have to have a thick skin.
Yeah.
He didn't get a nickname, Football Bat. He was a great operator,
Yeah.
awesome guy, and funny as hell.
Yeah.
So, Jacko could pull this thing out. The guy was not offended. He
Right.
was laughing with us. But this is how you get it. With me, with Drago, I think it was, I like to fight. I used to fight in Poland a lot.
Yeah.
And even today, some Poles tell that I was just a bandit
A
when I was
bandit.
growing up. And I describe it in my book. I
Yeah.
didn't consider myself a bandit, but
Right.
yeah, some of the things that I did, fighting wise, I'm not proud of it today,
Right.
but that was the society I grew up with. This is who I was.
Yeah.
So yeah, the event that became Drago,
Was that
beating
because
people
of
up.
the Rocky films? Is that where they got it from?
Well, I was beating people up, and
Yeah.
so the first thing you're a boxer. Well, definitely not Rocky Balboa because that English doesn't sound like Rocky Balboa,
Yeah.
but maybe something close to Drago. So
Right.
this how it became Drago.
Epic.
And
Epic.
like I didn't discriminate against anybody. I beat anybody I could.
Yeah.
So just like whether it was a team guy or somebody else outside. So I had a lot of these problems with
So
there was not so much anger. I was just missing fighting,
right.
missing the fights. So
So you made it through buds. You get to your teams. What would you say was some of your more significant um, downrange deployments that you can touch on um,
tell you
that
every
sticks
single
out to
one of
you? Every single
every
one of them.
single one. Yeah, every single one of them. But you know what? This is like even the deployments that we did not really do a lot. So like first deployment when we did when my first SEAL platoon, of course I had a problem with the English SEAL. So I like doing the CQC. I think the guys didn't catch it, but I had to translate still from English to Polish and then from Polish to English and then say what I need to say. And
Right.
it's a very dynamic situation. So
Hmm.
I had to be very quick, but they knew that it would help me if I took English classes. So my first platoon, like when you come back from first deployment, overseas, usually you have a chance like, hey, what school do you want? I want a sniper school. I want a free fall school. I want this school. Then you ask me, they say, okay, Drago, you go to English 101 school. So well,
We're picking for you.
we're going to be dive masters. The big boss is leaving our compound. Where are you going, Drago? I say, English 101. So that was significant. It was, that actually set my career on the right track. The
Mm,
second platoon, I ran into fantastic people. Actually, I had one of my friends from that platoon just visited me a couple of days ago. The guy I described him in the book, the strongest guy in the SEAL teams I ever met. So we spent quite a lot of time talking about our things. The chief of that platoon, Leif P. Again, I didn't talk to him, so I may not. I didn't ask him. Didn't have a chance to ask him if I can use his name.
mm,
So in here, but here there was the chief I always wanted to emulate. He
mm,
was not very big, but it was the hardest man I
mm.
ever met. This guy would, I mean, he could take on the entire Russian army, and I would bet he could win the war. So the
Wow.
lieutenant, Mr. B, fantastic leader, awesome. I mean, I remember the welcome to the platoon. He gave us Attila the Hand book. Everybody, so you read this, you can learn something because you
Wow.
all are leaders. And so this thing has a big influence on me. The people, most of the people from that platoon ended up in them, like in dev group.
Wow.
So so there was a great platoon.
Mm,
A kind of funny story. We deployed to Yugoslavia, and, uh, and we had a once every. We were living in Sarajevo. We were living like hiding in the comics boxes. We had our beds behind the compound because it was like big headquarters in Sarajevo, where
mm,
NATO, it was S4. That's what they call it. So there were generals, uh, like very high-ranking officers. We were just those little guys hiding up there, walking, jacking up steel, they're working out every day heavily. And I remember one day we are going to the weekly brief with army guys, and this uh, lieutenant, I think lieutenant, she looks at our lieutenant and say, "Hey, uh, lieutenant, you can tell your guys to take their body armor off. This is brief. It's safe. We don't need body armors here." She
ah,
said, he said, "Ma'am, well, they just look like they don't have a body armor on them. Our body armor is staged. We're just we're big." So she told, so we had a guy. Robert C. I cannot again. I haven't
Right.
talked to him yet. So I cannot use his name.
Yeah.
And he looked like the battle on short legs. So when he rolled in, she looked at him, she looked at this Chris Stroop, she looked at me and other guys. It's like, well, why do they wear body armors? But we were not. We were just like big that way. We had to explain it to her. So there's things like that all the time.
Wow.
Funny story from that state deployment too. And the midnight, we work out late at night. So at the midnight, we like to go and eat something.
Yeah.
And there was good, awesome food, steaks, always something good in Sarajevo. But we could not get cookies or cakes. At Midras, they were not available. They were only available to generals. I find out later because I always ask, can I have a cookie, at least one cake? It's like, nope, nope. I said, what about that guy? He just sits up there and he has a full plates of cakes and cookies. Well, he is a general. I was like, okay. So
they're
next
called
night,
cake eaters for a reason.
yeah. So I'm coming. I said, like, can I get my, please also tell chef to bring the cakes. I want my cakes. No, not at Midrats. I was like, tell the General Dzieran is here. I want my cakes and I want my cakes right now, right there. I just point some random table. I didn't even sign my name there and stuff. The already big plate of cookies, cakes was laying there. So the guys rolled in. It's like, what the hell happened?
Yeah.
I say, just call me General. It'll be okay. The problem with it was later that every time I showed up, he say, good evening, General. So I had to I had to time my getting into the line, so there would be no real general around. So when he going general, I was like, say, or good evening. I said, good evening. My
Yeah.
cakes right there.
Yeah.
They're funny
You're
stories.
released.
Yeah.
At
The
ease,
next,
soldier.
yeah, the next platoon was with Drago. So this is where we hijacked Russian tanker, the Volgolet 142, I think.
Yeah.
So that was another thing that we just you always learn something. You always run across people. They are fabulous. They are experts, and you just want to be like them.
Yeah.
And Jaco was just like this. One of the Mr. F to Chief C. Again, I didn't have a chance to talk to them, ask them for permission to use their names, but
Yeah.
this is how it was. So it was fantastic. It was a great deployment. We learned a lot. Then we deployed to South America, another platoon. And there was another chief. I love this guy. He actually, because I was going through divorce, so he helped me a lot. He actually set my career back on the track.
Wow.
And in the middle of this deployment, I was like 3 months into deployment, I was called back and say, hey, there is a Polish Special Forces operating in Iraq. We need you there to help coordinate their efforts and their operations with us. They will be working with us. So like 3 months into deployment, I was flown to Baghdad. And it's supposed to be, because in the Navy, we deploy in like 6 months deployments. So, so I was told that after 3 months, there'll be 6 months, I will come back and just start a new cycle, new workup with the SEAL platoon and new deployment. So like 3 months passed, I was like calling sometimes to SEAL Team 4. I was in SEAL Team 4 at the time. I was calling, it's like Rob O'Neill sometimes in quarterback. I say, hey Rob, I'm in the I'm still in Baghdad. I'm doing fine. All is good. Just let the guys know that all is good. I say,
Yeah.
okay. So like 3 months pass, nobody calls me. I don't hear anybody anything from SEAL Team 4. I call Rob. I say, hey Rob, I'm still here. I'm still in good. Just don't tell anybody. I'm still here. So just they don't say anything. I say nothing. So I didn't want to be pulled out.
Right.
We were just doing like operations almost every single night. The up tempo was just like through the roof. So like
Was this when you were with the Grom guys, or was
yeah.
this completely different missions?
No, that was when I went with because I was in the middle of deployment with my
Yeah.
SEAL platoon, and they
Right.
called me. I need to go to Baghdad, so there's a SEAL platoon operating already there. I will be just the liaison. I will help coordinate, and this is where I start working with Grom.
Yeah.
So like 3 months later, when I supposed to come back, nobody called me. So I was like, Grom, just don't tell them I'm here. When I Robo knew the guy who killed Bin Laden.
but
So,
but
so
but
he said, "Yeah, don't worry, Drago." And then it's like 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, 7 months, and just going over this year. And they finally my NVGs broke. This is when I got caught. So I'll call it the NVGs. It's like, okay, well, you need to come back because the SEAL team is in line to deploy, and we are right after the SEAL team. So you need
yeah,
to start your workup.
your
So
actual team that you were with.
yeah, yes, yes. But there was different SEAL team going out, actually
Yeah, yeah.
deploying. There was the first SEAL from the East Coast uh, deploying. So I came back, but then it's like, well, I just couldn't find my place. Uh, the war became like my reality, you know. Like when you think now, you think about the war or think about some fairy tale, you have that
Mm,
picture in your mind, but you
yeah.
know we're in a different realm. That war became my reality. I was just like sometimes, when I was going to sleep, I was just like, oh yeah, there is a people there. I can go to the restaurant, I can go see my girlfriend and all that stuff. But the war became my home. And I felt so comfortable with it. I remember talking to my girlfriend at the time. She dumped me later because I was too long away.
Right.
So I say, okay, well, I need to hang up, so I need to go home. She say, "Oh, don't ever," she yells at me, "Don't ever call the word of your tent home, always here." What
Oh.
up, I mean, it became like the real world that we live today with. It
Yeah.
became like a dream almost, like something that unreal because
Mm,
you are there, you are immersed into so much. So when I come back, I was looking for the way to just go back. And
mhm.
as the thing was going out, I was like, "Look, you guys will be working with the Grom. I spent there almost a year. I can go with you and help out for this." And it's like, "Okay, we'll just take you for a couple of weeks." And like 4 months later, my team is calling me, say, "Dude, you need to come back because we are to replace these guys in like short time. So we need to come back." So I came back and went back with my SEAL platoon to Iraq. So it was like,
Crazy.
yeah, one after another, back to back deployments. Interesting, but
Yeah,
I
yeah.
learned a lot.
That's insane. I mean, so and that's the part that I remember hearing about your story that just kind of blew me away. I was like, this guy, he's downrange and his boys are going home. They're going on break. They're getting, R&R. And he just keeps going and he keeps going. It's like, it's like, that's like unheard of. You know what I mean? Um, Most guys, they're just happy to get out and be done with that deployment, right? Get back to their families, get back to whatever. And you're just kind of just trailblazing through these deployments, really.
Yeah,
um
yeah, it was fantastic. I loved it.
it's
I
crazy.
don't regret a bit. I think it's something that
Yeah,
actually I really feel like I did some good for America, good for American people. Because when I came back from that deployment,
yeah.
I look up when I went on the street, it was so unreal to me because, like, I remember this dirt. My pants were so dirty up there that from the dust, the blood maybe, the sweat, that I could stand above in the corner. And then my pants, I'm ready to go. They were
Yeah,
standing in the corner. They were so
yeah,
stiff.
yeah,
So
yeah,
not always laundry that was available and stuff. So yeah, that was so when I look at these people
yeah,
and I was thinking, like, they don't think about war. They don't care about war.
yeah.
They I was even told that they don't even know where that Iraq is, some of the people. But
Right.
then I was thinking, like, that's awesome. This is what it's supposed to be. We
Yeah.
don't want our citizens to worry about war and stuff. We want them to live their lives. We are
Hmm.
there to worry about the war. We are there to worry that they can live their lives safely. So that was like a really good feeling. But
Yeah.
when I came back from war first time, after almost a year being away, my first night was in IHOP, this little tiny restaurant, which you finally have a place to go. And I find myself like, I need to sleep somewhere. So I went there to eat. like first meal after
Yeah.
landing in Virginia Beach, and I went there and I fell asleep, and then the security guard came in and said, "Hey, you okay?" I say, "Oh, yeah, yeah, I'm okay. If you don't mind, can I rest a little bit longer here? Because I get, the worst case, I would go to sleep in my truck." It was
Yeah.
a Navy truck, actually, that I kind of borrow, help
Borrowed.
my, yeah. So, so I say, "Can I, like, I order another coffee if I need to?" He say, "No, just don't cause any problems." But he looked at me, he's like, "That bitch kicked you out from home, did she?" I was like, What is he talking about?" But, "Yeah, the bitch kicked me out. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, can I stay?" Yeah, I said. So my first night was sleeping at the table in IHOP.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. That I think that's one of the things that a lot of people, like you're pointing out, and I think that's it's a beautiful way, the way you put it, because there are some veterans that are bitter when they come back to society. They're bitter that people are ordering their stupid lattes with their stupid, picky nitty. I have to have it with this or that, or cream,
Yeah,
no cream, whatever. And you're like, ugh, right? Like this kind of like of a brute that's been to war. It's like, who cares? I've been drinking mud coffee for months. Like who cares about your latte? But the way you pointed out that you're grateful that that's what they're worried about is their dumb latte, so to speak, their free internet.
everything.
Yeah. And I think that's a beautiful point because, you know, for me, that's been very difficult with these back to back deployments. I've never had this before in my
Yeah,
20 plus years of service. We've never been in a long drawn deployments like we have right now. It almost feels like I'm back in my non-reserve duty days, as a young soldier, where you don't get to go home like it used to be, and you're just continually in the military for your 3 years. Um, but that's exactly it. There's I see the value of looking at society and looking at their worrylessness, right? It's different here. We all know that there's a war going on. There's a huge difference in that, but there's still a normalcy that you're like, you know what? Thank God they can sit here and have a coffee. Thank God they can go and buy that dumb dress that's not going to change the world a bit, but it's going to change your world. It's going to make you happy, you know, and you
yeah.
get to just enjoy your civilian life. And that's what we're fighting for. It's exactly those nonsensical things, so to speak. um, and I think that was a good way you put it because I think that's a big problem that a lot of veterans have is being able to cope with that.
Yeah, it is easy to fall into this type of thinking, I guess, coming back, seeing friends being blown up, killed, and here somebody just bitching about the latte being too hot or something. But,
Right.
I understand that, but I always look at it differently, I guess, because for me, reason to go to war was maybe different. I didn't go to look for adventure. I had mine with communists and prison and that I just wanted normal, peaceful life that America gave me.
Hmm.
So when I volunteered to go to war, I mean, that was my motivation to protect America, to give America that that possibility and to bitch about the being latte coffee too hot
Yeah.
because they don't have to fight the war. But this is not only military. I want to mention also the first responders, the
Yeah.
police,
Hmm.
because when I was deploying overseas, I knew that I can always count and the order in society. At that time, the police were not stigmatized like they are today
Hmm.
by the Marxists and socialists in America. But at that time, my first thing when I was leaving, on my fridge for my wife, there was going the phone numbers to police, uh, emergency, and a regular phone, and say, "If you don't feel safe, just call police." And I always trusted that. I feel secure. I didn't have to worry about my family. I was worrying about kill
Hmm.
more bad guys.
Yeah. I think that's a great point as well. That a lot of people forget. We put a lot of emphasis on war veterans going through PTS and whatnot. I don't call it disorder on purpose, by the way, because I don't see it as a disorder. It's normal. The fact that
Yeah.
you're having symptoms, that means you're a normal human being. You're not a psychopath. um, but you know, but we forget the first responders. We forget the law enforcement that they face that on the daily. From 0 to 100 or 0 to 10 with some old lady that called them about nonsense. And when I got to volunteer with the Israeli police here in Jerusalem, fighting some of the heavy crime and terrorism in Jerusalem, actually, um, I got an insight into their world, and I'm like, dang, they go through this daily.
Yeah.
Where for us, our
And
privilege is it's a deployment, and you're back home.
yeah, and there is another thing what not many people consider.
Yeah,
So when we deploy, we come back from deployment. We have a time to rest. We go to work up to prepare ourselves for another deployment, another war or stuff.
yeah,
They don't have that chance. They are in their war for our safety every single day. And I understand 6 months, a year, but some of them go 20 years and not having that respite. And the things that they see,
yeah.
they can only equal what we see in the war sometimes, or
Yes.
even worse. But what even worse, our own citizens, some are sometimes are the jackasses. How many YouTube videos you've seen some idiot say, okay, I'm going to show this cop that I know law better than him. So when he's trying to have the person say, please, I need your see your documents or something. I'm not going to show you my documents. I have the right as it says so. And
Yeah.
like, why would you do that? Just show the documents. He's
Yep.
not there to beat you up. He's there to help you or to find you if you did something wrong
Yep.
or to protect other people either from you or protect you from yourself.
Yep.
You don't need to be a jackass to these people. They are people like me and you. They have their own too. Putting up with such cruelty and such crude behavior is hard for anybody. This is why I couldn't be police officer. I couldn't have enough patience.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Some
I have my utmost respect to the first responders and police
yeah,
officers.
some of the most incredible people, and I actually have the honor of being one of the speakers at one of the conferences in Texas, actually, this December. God willing, I can make it there and everything. But I'm really looking forward to that because that's a community that really, like you're saying, needs a little bit more recognition, a little bit more gratitude for the things that they've gone through. And I think another thing that people forget is like you leave the battlefield, the terrorists, whatever, the cop, he's surrounded by those terrorists. He's surrounded by those crooks. If it's drug busts or whatever, right? If he goes to some function with his kid at a soccer game or something, right? And then he sees across from him, there's that pimp, there's that, you know, that's a reality you and I have never had to face. Imagine looking at the Taliban whose kid is playing in the same soccer game, right? What a crazy dynamic, right?
Yeah, and there's a lot of also similarities
Yeah.
between what police does or we do. There's major difference. I will touch upon it, but basically, we both we in police, me and you in the military, we're like a customer service for the government versus their customer service for our citizens.
Hmm.
Our customers are always wrong, and we get to kill them.
Right.
Their customers, even if they make mistake, let the God sort it out.
Yeah.
They have to sort it out. They are facing our own citizens. With
Yeah.
their actions have a lot of weight, carry a lot of weight, and also it weighs on them. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's another thing that would.
Yeah. I've had some
Besides,
real.
I think with terror, I always believe that the best way to fight terrorists, is to terrorize the terrorists. We are
100%.
terrorizers. and you know, you can, there is nothing that you can say or do to make terrorists nice. You just have to kill them. The
That's
more
right.
you kill them, the safer our societies are. That's what I think.
And that's, yeah. And that's so much more simpler than a cop's job, right?
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. Yeah. I don't have to do well. You know, maybe he is a good guy. He's a terrorist. Who cares?
exactly.
Kill,
Exactly.
right, kill
So
them all.
so you get back from your deployments, and at some point you met your wife today, right?
Yeah.
Can you talk about how that came about and how
Yeah. Well,
she,
it's
yeah.
almost embarrassing to me, but uh,
Okay.
yeah. So
But
when
but
I
but
came
also
back,
I would say her influence in your life, right? And
oh,
where you're at
absolutely,
today. Yeah.
absolutely, I'm a better man today because of that woman.
And
Big
the
shot.
reason why I want to bring this up, because this is actually a question that my commander asked me to ask you, because this is something that he made a highlight during family day just a few weeks ago. We got together with our families, and he had a special talk just to the wives to thank them for being the true heroes who are allowing us to fight this war. They're allowing us to carry out our special missions. And the only reason why my unit has notoriety and is doing some very impactful missions during this war that I can't really discuss, but all the glory of those, it's not because of the men, but because of the women behind them. And so he wanted to highlight that as a question for you and the wife that is the one
You
behind
know,
you.
our yes, absolutely. And here's another thing, this extra motivation
Yeah.
for us, at least for me, to be very effective in, you know, eliminating the terror, because I don't want that person who stands by me, who takes care of my kids when I deploy, to ever face these bastards. I rather, I wish we could kill them all, but it is very important.
Yeah.
Um, for me, especially when I was coming back from my deployments, from my final deployment, I was I had a lot of injuries that I didn't realize I had. I was a lead breacher, naval special warfare lead breacher in Iraq. So you know, we were blasting doors and walls sometimes from feet away, and I didn't think anything special about it. We at that time in a spag war, we didn't know much. We did some maybe, but we didn't know much about the injuries that that uh, explosive can cause, even those friendly explosives set off by us.
Hmm.
And we we knew that, you know, we need to be safe. We had the special calculations that we can calculate what is the safe standoff distance from the explosion, from the explosives that we were gonna set up on the doors, wall, windows, on the floors, on the ceilings, whatever we're going through.
Hmm.
And I remember at the end of my even first deployment, I had a hard time readings. Seems like I blame maybe the poor lighting because in the tents, you know, it's light.
Hmm.
So I go outside sometimes in the sun, I still can't read. And well, because my eyes were just jumping, that I couldn't actually make a sense from what I was seeing.
Hmm.
And on the top of it, with my memory too, I remember I had to take sometimes an hour to understand a paragraph that I was reading. I could start reading paragraph. By the time I finished, I didn't know what the paragraph was about. It's like,
Mm.
so it took me a while uh,
Wow.
to waking up at night, like 2 o'clock in the morning. Even when I was in San Diego, in Coronado, I was a bus instructor at the time. 2 o'clock in the morning, I was waking up. It's like, what the hell is going on? I was like wide awake. You know, then
Mm.
I was fall asleep like an hour later or so. So I talked to the guys, other SEALs, you know, who do you talk to first? Talk to your brothers, right? So it's
Exactly.
like, what's happening to me? It's like, no, dude, I don't know. You know, I have a hard time falling asleep, but I have a hard time waking up. But in your case, 2 o'clock, you wake up every day. Every day. That's weird. Well, we came to conclusion there must be a ghost that yeah, must be hunted.
Right.
So I realized I'm scared of ghosts. So yeah, let's go in there. Let's find me different apartment. I started looking for different apartment.
Yeah.
And then I realized we start reading more into it and become more obvious and more known to our to my community that there are serious injuries from those blasts.
Mm,
And, being constantly exposed to these blasts, your brain can heal itself. But if you get injured again in a very short time span, that healing takes longer,
mm,
and eventually it stops.
mm,
So that was my real issues. And this is where the wives comes in,
mm,
because like I would not be able to function if not my wife. And I'm not talking about anything special, just everyday life, being patient, taking care of the bills, that paying the bills, because I was not able to remember what bills do I have to pay. I could look at the bill, okay, I need to pay it today, but then I forgot.
mhm,
So my wife taking care of it at the same time, um, taking care of the kids.
mhm.
So taking care of the kids and take care of me. So it takes strong woman to be my wife.
Yeah,
Takes strong woman to be your wife
yeah.
and wife of people in our position. And is just I owe my life today to my wife.
Mm.
She is a very strong woman. She's Air Force graduate, Air Force Academy grad. So she graduated from Air Force Academy in 1995.
Mhm.
She has a master's in bioengineering, and she's finishing her PhD in system engineering with AI. So
Golly.
yeah,
Overachiever much.
so
Wow.
yeah, she's incredible woman, and
Yeah,
she's doing it while still taking care of our kids, and help me to recover from the what I don't know if I call it injuries. Let me recover from the wartime,
sure.
uh, the war zone. So
Ho
it is
and
very.
how did you guys meet?
Me, that's kind of funny story, because as you hear from my English, I can communicate in the field very well. Within the unit and the SEAL teams, I work well. But now writing something nice, touchy, feely thing is just not me. So like now, so when I came from war, I was like 40, I was like 47 years old, 46 years old when I started looking for wife. I realized I have no family. I didn't have my only family that I had was my SEAL brothers.
Yeah.
So I said, hey, I need to find a wife. What's the best way? Hook me up with some chicks. I said, I tell you, the best way to do it is to go online and hook up with some chicks up there. I said, okay, yeah, I can do it. Because, like at that time, when I came back from war, many things that were important to me before were
Yeah.
not that important after the war. Like
Right.
nice clothes, like I didn't care. As long as it was clean, I didn't
Yeah.
care what I wear. I'll give you the example of it, because we were invited to like a big Hollywood party, me and my fellow SEALs, but like big wigs from Hollywood. So we went up there, we knocked on the door, and this old lady opens the door and it's like, oh, yeah, okay, yeah, we know about you guys. Come in. But then she looks at me, I'm like on the half flight stairs, say, who is that? I said, he's with us. Oh, wait a minute. That's not a party for balls. You guys go
Oh,
somewhere wrong.
no. Party for bums.
I'm
Oh.
so sorry for my teammates. I say, hey, guys, okay. You guys go
Uh,
party, knock on the door. Call this a wrinkled old woman. I just go party in the bar and just go, just collect later. She's like, no, fuck the lady. Let's go party together. We went to the bar. We all went to the bar. But they say go to right there, go online and do it. Say,
yeah.
okay. There was a site called American Singles at the time. So
Okay.
first connection I made was like good, decent looking girl. And we talk, not through the email. They helped me out a little bit with it, but finally uh, we decided to call each other. So she listened to me and say, "How the fuck did you end up in American Singles? This is for Americans. Who are you? I'm going to call FBI. Go away,
Oh,
quick."
no.
It's like,
Oh,
oh, damn,
no.
whatever. So that was FBI. So I said, okay.
Uh,
So then I connected with another girl, and that she was so nice. Like I see the pictures. So we like wrote for like maybe 3 months.
yeah.
She was from San Diego. She just didn't want to. I couldn't make her meet. I said, well, maybe she's just careful. She's not trusting. And finally, I took her into a meeting. And I remember that meeting very well because we decided to go in, that was by the Horton Plaza. No, there was like a big office center where there a bunch of offices
Yeah.
are big buildings. And it was a Starbucks. I said, let's go to Starbucks. So I'm sitting in the Starbucks. Unfortunately, it was a lunchtime when I set it up. And every girl coming in, I'm looking and it's like, wow, this is a good looking girl. I think maybe hair. Maybe she just colored her hair or something that look like in the picture, but maybe this hair. I took
Yeah.
the book with me too, so I look smarter. And then everyone can hit this looks and keeps going, keeps going. Finally, that long line set up for the coffees. They are all waiting for coffees, those office work chicks. I'm
Yeah.
sitting like maybe 3 feet away from that line at the window at the table. And then I look to the door. There is I don't know how to describe it, like Jabba the Hutt, I guess. Huge girl. She had to go sideways through the half of the door when she opened it. So I didn't pay attention. I was just like, okay. So pretend I'm reading. I'm like scanning those girls and those beautiful girls standing
Yeah.
by, like 3, 5 feet away from me.
Yeah.
But then, like a shadow comes in. I look up and I don't know what to say. And she say, "Are you Drago?" I was like, "Yeah." Like, okay. I am Wendy, or whatever the name of the Wendy. I'm here, and so yeah, tell me about yourself. You're so beautiful, and I'm looking at these girls. They are just like laughing, like
Yeah.
giggling, red,
Yeah.
and trying not to look at me, but I can see that's like so I'm turning red already. I said, "Okay, now Wendy." So now I'm trying to turn it into like a business meeting. So like the
Right.
people they'll be so laughing. So I say, tell me a little bit about your company. How many employees do you have? Good God. She looks at me and say, well, it's supposed to be a date. And there was just like everybody just like crying, laughing there. It's
Oh,
supposed to be a
no.
date. I don't want to talk about my work. I say, okay. Well, I start my it for like that 30 minutes and I say, like, listen, I need to go. To go back to work. So, okay, can you give me a ride? I park on the other side of the mall. So I was just thinking, yeah, damn, that's a big effort for that big woman to walk that far. So I said, okay, I'll give you a ride. We go to my Jeep. My Jeep was not on the woods, has a bigger tires.
Yeah.
That woman cannot get into Jeep. She almost fell out of it. She was trying to back herself in it. She can't do it. She grabbed her leg. Good God, like a elephant leg. She tried to put it on into my Jeep. She almost fell. I tried to catch her. I almost might fall down myself. And finally, she looks at me, say, "I just walk." I say, "Thank you, Andy." Bye. I don't know that I was like so pissed and I was so sad.
Oh,
And
no.
she called me back again next day, say, "Hey, you want another date? I think it was cool." I was like, "No, Wendy. I mean, if you were honest with me,
Yeah.
I don't care if you fat, you can be my friend.
Yeah.
I don't have just skinny friends. I like people. If you
Yeah.
fat, you fat. You can be
Yeah.
my friend. But you lied to me. You
Yeah.
sent me the pictures of somebody else, and you yourself show up like Jabba the Hutt.
You told her
Why
that?
would you do that to me?
Oh, no. Ah.
So, so it's the fight not to date.
Yeah.
And then finally I was like in despair, and I see this girl on American Single. I say, "She's mine.
Yeah.
I need to have her." So I ran up to the guys. "Hey, what do you think? I need some help. Let's start. I need to just wink to her." So I wink to her, but say, "Drago, into just you are kind of old. This chick looks really young. So get yourself like maybe 6, 7 years off." I say, "Really? Yeah. Okay." So I did. And now I'm young like a spring chicken, at least on the website. So she started writing to me, and whatever she wrote, I was writing to my teammates and say, "Hey, help me write this thing out."
Yeah.
So they were writing like love letters to her for me. I was just like copying them and sending back to her. She kept writing. We started writing. It was going pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I said, "Yeah, I'll write on." So like every time she sent a letter, my teammates wrote a love letter for me, and I
Of
keep
course.
sending to her.
And of
That
course
worked.
you and of course you had the Rico Suave of your team writing out those letters, the guy that knows how to talk to the
Oh,
girls and you
she
know,
had what was she had no idea because like
yeah,
I was thinking like in my own letters.
yeah,
I wanted to impress her, but how
yeah,
can I impress her writing a letter saying I is what I is and I be what I be? That just does not work. So
uh,
I really like this girl. She was so beautiful. So I say I need help.
yeah,
No, they kept writing love letters. I keep sending them to her. She responded to me.
yeah,
And finally, we decide to meet. But before that, finally, the guy's like, Drago, we wrote you like hundreds of these letters. You can copy and paste whatever you want. You can make an ugly letter, chase her away, or you can make a super lovely letter. Just copy and paste. We're standing by. We're going to help you. I say,
yeah.
okay. So I did. I wrote one, and her profile disappeared. So I was like, what the hell just happened? So I knew maybe it's something with this letter that I just ginned up myself.
Yeah.
So I don't up to the guys. So one of the guys looking at it, and it's like, "Oh, dude, you fucked up. Go look for another wife. That isn't going to work."
Oh, no.
So, so like I was in despair. I fell in love with this girl. It's like
Yeah.
of being lonely, and this is such a beautiful girl. We have had such a good uh, correspondence. Of course, half of it was from my teammates, but still
Right.
good. A- and I was mopping, but then her profile showed up again. So I, I finally convinced her to give me a car. Right. So she called from the private number. She was very like she didn't trust anybody there. So she and when she called, so I tried to say, "Hello, this is Drago." And she said, "Yeah, this is Rachel." And are you? I said, "Yeah, yeah, this is me." And I started talking to her. She's like, "Wait a minute. So you are not on drugs. You are not drunk. You just don't speak English."
Oh, no.
Of course, yes, yes, yeah. So we started talking, and finally she came to visit me, and I remember even that I was not trusting that this is what it is.
Right.
So that she is what she presents herself after the
Right.
job that I had experience. So I
Right.
took the team guy with me and say like, okay, so this is the plan. If she turns out to be another job at the hat, I disappear. You tell her I went to war, whatever. Just tell her
Right.
I'm not here.
Yeah.
Send her back.
Yeah.
And then we're just like waiting in San Diego airport, and there's the escalator. She's going down, and he's like, "Hey, dude, I think that's her." I was like, "Oh yeah, yeah, that's it." So, dude, how did you pull it off? How did you rob the cattle? I was like, "Well, I lied about my age, and you wrote the love letter. So what do you think? It worked." So he's like, "Okay, well, I'm out, John. So
Uh,
you on your own." And I
yeah.
remember
Yeah.
I was so nervous because they I had the flowers in the car, but I left them in the Jeep because if this is not the person she is, if I
Right.
have to go out, I don't want
Right.
to go wait with the
Yeah.
flowers. But I
Right.
was so nervous. I remember, and I would like to be like a super gentleman. So she shows up, she smiles because she recognized me. I recognize her. I was like, I am Drago, and put my hand up. She just looked at me. Wait a minute. I didn't fly 2,000 miles to shake your hand, give me a hug. I was like, holy shit, this cool chick. I gave her
Yeah.
a big hug.
Yeah.
And then as we walked to the car, but then actually, this is something happened too. She stepped back, she looked at me and say, I think I know you. You know, for team guys to meet the girl that says she knows you, but you don't remember her is not a really good thing. So first thing to my head was like, what did I do to her?
Yeah.
And but then she say, "Well, I guess when you were new guy, you guys came in with your SEAL platoon to our chamber." She was the physiologist in the Air Force Base at the time,
Oh.
lieutenant, and she was like, "You were going to the HAPS training. You know, HAPS, the high altitude parachute
Yeah.
something." So we all go through it every year. And you are the guy who was cussing and screaming at everybody, threatening to kill everybody in the chamber. So I remember you. And what happened is actually, it was 15 years later, or almost 16 years later, when
Wow.
we first time we met at the chamber. But she told me also too that they had on the we and I was watching. I had to watch those instructional video, the instructions about the like normal classes, then go into the chamber at the Air Force Base. So
Mm.
they had like video example of everything passing out. This is how you pass out. This is how you start breathing, and they didn't have a belligerence example. I'm the first one. I think I'm still there. As a now, She was so happy. They all the Air Force chicks were very happy because now they have a real video of the belligerence, so they can teach how belligerence looks like. And it was me because there was a video camera in the chamber.
Oh,
So
that's
yeah, that was
hilarious.
quite funny. But when I find out that I didn't do anything to her, it was just she remembered me from before interactions. That was cool. And we went to the Jeep. And I was so nervous. I remember I took this flower. I was still wrapping this gray, like rough paper, just only the twigs are sticking out.
Yeah.
So I just grab this and I have it upside down. I just like give it to her. And she just looks at me and is like, okay, hold on one second. So she just took it, she wrapped it off, then she flipped it around, grabbed my hand. Okay, now try again. It's like, okay, that's for you. And it's like, give her the flower. So this is how we met. And then from then on, we were inseparable. I mean, we fought a
That's
lot too, but
yeah.
again, she's the smarter one. So she basically domesticated me. I'm like fully, I consider myself fully domesticated. She says that the domestication is the project under construction still. So
Yeah.
but we're getting along extremely well. She's
That's
about to become a Dr. Dzieran now, a
that's
PhD.
that's amazing. That's amazing. I love that story. You know, Also the way I proposed to my wife has something to do with a bouquet of flowers and a funny story, but that's for another day. Um, but it just reminds me of just the funny things that we do, and the
Yeah,
women are
yeah.
just kind of like,
No,
is he okay? Is this guy?
Doron, let me give you a suggestion.
Please.
Write the book. Don't think like a book. Maybe in a different way. Write this down, because you may not be here tomorrow. You may not be here 3 days ago. I mean, 3 days later. Your kids, your wife, your grandchildren, great grandchildren, they may not know about you the thing that you would like them to know. This is what happened to me. I'm talking from my own experience.
Hmm.
My father, communist, but I still would like to learn more about him and his family. He passed away. My mom is no longer with us. I have no idea where I came from, where my family came from, what are their roots. Uh, there is nobody to help me now because there's no records, no writing. They did not leave anything. Yes, I know some anecdotes I heard when I was growing up from my uncles but that generation is no longer with us.
Hmm.
So I don't know anything. And so you need to start making that and tell all your teammates to do the same.
Hmm.
Because and don't write a book, because when I was taught to write this book that I was just published, I sit down to write the book. Like hour later, I said, like, "Oh, fuck it, I can't do it. I
Right.
don't know how to do it." But
Yeah.
what you need to start writing your thoughts. You wake up in the morning, say, and you have a little bit of time, and some memory comes in. Write this down. It doesn't have to be in chronological order. You will worry about chronology later. Just write your past, write your history, and whatever you remember about your family,
Mm.
because the older we get, the more we forget. And that's just not for you. That book is for your kids and grandkids and for your family. And eventually, you may make it like I did, publish it so other people can learn too, hopefully,
Mm.
or can read.
Yeah.
That's so. Please do that. It is important.
Well, I really appreciate that coming from you. And that's actually something I've been working on for a few years. For those who have been following me and they know, I'm actually in the middle of writing my life story because it is very unique. It is very different. And every time I do public speaking, people are like, you need to write a book, like we've never heard a story like this. And so for after years of being bugged by folks, And it really warms my heart to hear you say that, because I think that's a wonderful piece of advice. Even if it's not going to be something that you publish, like you said, in an official way, and it gets in the hands of many people, but just write a book for your family, like you said. That is beautiful piece of advice.
So think about it as a legacy, and
Yeah,
tell your teammates to do the same thing,
I agree.
because we don't know how much time we have left here. So
Yeah.
it is important.
And I think the thing is too, people overlook their story, because it doesn't have to be this amazing story like people who have published books and you're like, oh, that guy's story. Your story is unique because it's your story. And when you tell it to me, I've never heard that story before, from that angle, from that perspective. And that's what's so enriching. So if it's at bare minimum, like you said, for legacy for your family, but really a lot of times people not forget, they don't recognize the story that they have to tell that actually will
No,
enrich other people.
yeah, this is not to impress people. This is your
Exactly.
story to leave the legacy for your family and maybe fellow citizens.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. Well, brother, I really appreciate you sharing your stories with us here on this podcast.
It's honor to be in the podcast with you.
This is really, again, something that you're the reason why I ended up doing this, in a long caveat way, actually, because it was actually the war that got me to start this, as a response to all the misinformation and all the different things, and just saying, you know what, I've learned how to do filmmaking. We produced the film, and through that passion of just telling Israel's story, and then just the circumstances of this war is what gave birth to this podcast. But in a very small way, if you like, or the seed of which actually started with your story that you did with Jaco, like I said here earlier, and that my commander shared with me and was like, "Hey, you guys got to check this out." And I'm like, "Yeah, I've heard of Jaco. I heard of these guys, but I'm like, I'm not in that world." And then I just got hooked, of course, got listening to stories from those guys, from his podcast, and then listening to Sean Ryan, and then all these other people that I'm now connected with, and also thanks to in behind the scenes, so to speak, veterans like yourself and others that have helped connect each other to get our story out there. And I just want to thank you for that, and that amazing work that you've done, and the seeds that you've sown in so many people's lives.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the invitation, but please also convey my gratitude to your teammates and my respect for your teammates and for military. I always say, God bless America and God bless Israel.
Well, thank you, brother, and I will definitely share that with them, and the ones who will begrudgingly listen to my podcast. uh,
Maybe one day I will have the honor to shake their hand.
I tell you what, they would be deeply honored, guaranteed.
So that
So that is, if you ever make it to this side of the pond, I will arrange that. Um,
definitely.
well,
We are in
brother,
touch. You have my phone number too. I
yes, sir.
think if you don't, I will send it to you in a second. But we are
Yes, sir.
in contact. So
Yes, sir. Well, brother, again, thank you so much for your time in this incredible podcast interview. Friends, if you enjoyed this incredible story, make sure to share it, because this is a story worth sharing. Um, so make sure to like, subscribe, all that good stuff. You want to support the channel. This is not sponsored by anything. I haven't sold you anything. I haven't pushed any products out there. If anything, I'm the guy that actually promotes products, usually from veterans. So it's the hat that I'm wearing or the shirt that I'm wearing. If you're paying attention, it's my way of plugging people that I love, support, and there's no strings attached. So again, the support that comes to get this podcast going, it comes from you, from simple people that want to support truth and want to support these amazing stories that I'm able to share with y'all. Um, Guys, have a wonderful weekend, and again, make sure to share this with as many people as you can, because this to me is one of the best stories and I've been looking forward to for a very long time to have on the podcast and then get the right moment and to really get this done right. And shalom and blessing from Israel.